Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Engineers from the Home Desk series, where we're talking to our leaders about the various things that you can do to effectively virtualize your business operations. And you're going to love this one because we have with us today Amit Chadha, who is the Deputy CEO of LTTS. And we're going to be talking about four things with Amit. We're going to be talking about trust and transparency, about oversight, about empathy, and creativity. So hi Amit, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great, thank you. So Amit, in times like these, one of the most critical aspects for any organization is to build trust, right? Both trust internally with employees as well as trust externally with partners, customers, and suppliers. So what are some of the things an organization can do to build this culture of trust and transparency?
Akshay, thank you for asking that. As you know, we are in a very different, uncharted time here. So what we've seen work for us is key to building trust is communication. Multi-level, multiple types, one-on-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. I would start by explaining the rationale clearly, the impacts, the pros, the cons, get ideas from various quarters, and then finally take a decision and implement. There will be times we'll make decisions and take actions that may not work for everybody, but the rationale should be clear on why we are doing it and what's the impact on the stakeholders. I feel that this has helped us in this past crisis as well as past times in building trust and transparency. For example, recently in Japan and Europe, some of our employees came up to us and said, even though the client was working, they were uncomfortable commuting to work. Now, what we did here was we actually spoke to the local authorities, we spoke to the clients, and we devised a plan together with the employees where some of them were provided an option to go using personal transport to work, right? And in the second case, we were able to provide them an alternative option to work remotely from home. Again, trust, transparency can only be there if we are able to communicate the rationale and work with the teams.
So Amit, given that engineering companies do not traditionally have a very extensive work from home policy, how big a paradigm shift has it been for you to virtualize operations and workforce? And how have you adapted the company's systems and processes to ensure that there's still the right amount of oversight?
Akshay, you actually tickled the engineer inside me. I'm an electrical and electronics engineer. So let's start with the basics, right? Our business model is built on the philosophy of remote working. Stuff that needs interaction is done locally, while other activities are done remotely. There are business continuity plans that allow for partial working from home, right? Somebody is sick, somebody is not well, unable to come, etc. There will be activities that can't be virtualized and need on-site presence either on a shop floor or at a lab. This crisis has taken things to a whole different paradigm. Like somebody once said, you go to war with what you have and not what you want. And that too, in a very limited time, we've had to take each and every activity and we took it by client segments and we have taken that down, decompressed it, and then ask the hard question again, can this be done remotely? And if so, move it to a work from home model. It has required us to think hard, think smart, go down to details and construct a way forward while keeping data security and client confidentiality as key parameters in decision making. Going forward, I do believe this will become a new norm and allow us to operate in a very different paradigm.
Amit, if there's one thing that the situation has taught us, it is to be more empathetic, right? Empathetic to our colleagues, to our team members, to our customers. So what are some of the things an organization can do to be more empathetic and to give people the assurance that you've got their backs and that we will get through this together?
In a situation like we are in today, the most important factors are health and safety of the family, then self and teams, and then finally business continuity. It is therefore important that we make decisions, communicate and take actions. We keep this at the back of our mind. An additional vector to be considered is the fact that the workplace or the workspace and the home space are merging together, and therefore compassion, empathy, and respecting the home space and workspace together is very important while we conduct our business. Two examples come to mind and one advice. We have a limited number of people in China, and we moved them out of China even before there was a crisis or alarm raised, the moment we came to know stuff was happening. Second, my chief of operations has a young 21-year-old at home who shares the workspace, home space. So my first question nowadays when I speak to her is, how is she doing, the baby doing, before I get down to working, talking about things at hand. Finally, I've been giving free advice to people about not being able to join a gym, but at least exercising every day to stay healthy, because cooped up in a small environment, we often lose sight of that. But health is wealth and extremely important as we move forward.
You know, Amit, work from home has gotten people to be a lot more creative, right? Creative in the way they get work done for customers, in the way they engage with their teams, boost employee morale. So could you talk about a few ways in which the LTTS workforce has risen to the occasion?
There are so many unsung heroes with this whole thing that we went from being a completely on-site centric, office centric model to becoming more than 90% of the workforce working from home. It wouldn't have happened without a lot of work done, planning, sudden planning, crisis planning work done, and actions taken by our IT teams, by our administration teams, logistics teams, and the employees themselves. In US and Europe and India, we have labs and equipment that goes with them, and employees have risen beyond their call of duty to safely and securely in record time move stuff, at times through the night, to their homes, to their colleagues' homes, set those up, in cases take UPSs to their house so that they are able to conduct business remotely, efficiently and securely. In a second case, remote operations of a life sciences lab is being done round the clock, 24/7, and our employees have together decided as to who's going to pick a night shift as opposed to a day shift, because that part of the operation is required for our client in the healthcare sector, and they're doing that without even being asked to do so. There's a number of other stories, touches the heart, but goes beyond the call of duty that I've seen our employees have done. Moving on to boosting morale, that along with health is extremely important. Video conferencing has become the new norm, be it Zoom, be it Microsoft Teams, be it Skype, etc., allowing us to seeing emotions and a window into the personal side of people, and then seeing their reactions rather than an impersonal call. I do believe after we come out of this crisis, video calling and will become much more the norm as opposed to voice calling as we move forward. We all know that we are staring at a health crisis here, right? And nobody is safe. Having said that, a lot of our employees have become self-declared cheerleaders, motivating their colleagues with positive thinking and empathy rather than discussing the negatives of the situation. I do believe that this, like all other things, shall also pass. What's important for us is to be safe and be strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. That was absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for taking the time off to do this. And we hope you enjoyed this edition of the Engineers from the Home Desk series. So until next time, take care, be safe, and write to us. Talk to us about the various ways in which you are making virtual work. Thank you.